A few of you guys have been asking questions about my sample game. What do I do when I listen to samples? How do I pick them out? Things I do with them once I chop them up, and how do I get them to fit so well? Don't worry, I got you covered on this video. When I'm dealing with samples, the technique that I tend to stick to a lot is hearing tones versus hearing sound. Now, for all of you guys that don't know what that means, sometimes we kind of lump those both in together because they both have something to do with hearing, but they're actually different. Just for example, if I say your name, then you hear me saying your name. That's just the sound you're hearing. But see, I can say your name excited, or I can say it very, very sad. That's the tone. The sound is what you're hearing. The tone is how you're actually hearing. For everybody out there that I might have lost, we're going to go over this technique in detail. You're going to be able to understand exactly what I listen to, exactly the things that I want out of the sample, the things that I don't want, and how I get those samples to blend well together. I have a special announcement as well for you guys at the ending of the video, so make sure you guys stay tuned in for that. Before we dive in, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and also hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on any more videos that I'm going to drop just like this. Enough talking, let's dive in. We're going to grab a bunch of samples and see if we can start getting some tones out of these things versus just getting sound. Let's do it. Okay, the first thing we're going to start off with is the feel that we want to create. That's going to be our main sample, the one that we want to choose that's going to set the tone to what we want to do. So this sample that I have pulled up is going to do exactly that. As you can see, the mood is very, very chill. So we're already setting the foundation for what we want our beat to be like. Let's pitch this sample down and see if we can get a different feel for it. I kind of like pitching the sample down just one semitone because it gives it more of a fluent type of chill vibe, and that's exactly what we want. So the better we can get our sample and the vibe that we want, that's the better that we can carry on with the beat and make sure that we stay in that same type of mood. Okay, let's go on and go to chop, and we're going to see if we can chop this sample up into certain sections. That way we can lay it down on the pads and make sure we have exactly what we want. Let's do it.
A few moments later.
We're going to set our BPM to something like 181. Let's do that. Perfect. That's what we need. Now, in order to keep the chill vibe, what we're going to do is we're going to start affecting the sample and make sure we can bring a little bit more of that out. So all I did was drop out a little bit of the lows, brought up a little bit of the highs. That way I can bring out a little bit more of the presence of the sample and make sure that everything is nice and good and we get that nice tone that we want from the sample. Always remember the tone is going to be the main part of the sample that you want to come out. That way everything that you lay on top of the sample, this can come through and you can make sure that you hear all of that richness. Now, the next thing that I want to do with this particular sample is I want to divide it into low and high portions, meaning that I want the high part of the sample to be on one track and then the low end part of the sample to be on another track. So I'm going to show you real quick how I do that. You guys have seen me do this before on multiple samples, and it's going to work very, very well for this sample right here. So let's grab another EQ, and we're going to put that at the bottom there, and we're going to put that over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit Control A and highlight all of our chops, hit Control C to copy it. And then we're going to Control bracket over to the next track. Then we're going to put this back at 1 and we're going to Control V and paste our chops there. This is going to be our high sample right here. Let's call that high sample. And then we're going to go here and duplicate our program by right clicking and hit duplicate. That way it's now on that track, a copy of that program, so we can affect them differently. So the EQ on our left is going to be our low end sample, and the EQ on our right is going to be our high end sample. So let's go on and work with the low end sample first. We're going to go to that track, which is going to be track 2, the first sample that we laid down. Let's title that one low sample. That way we can keep track of what we're doing. And we're going to solo that one. And then we're going to make sure that we have just that low end part of the sample. Let's do that. That's where we're going to start for right now. And then we're going to go to our next track, which is our high sample. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this EQ and I'm going to drop all of this out here. And then we're going to start bringing that back in to where we can now hear that high end blend in with the low end. Let's do it. Okay, so now we have both of those programs good, our high sample and our low sample, and I'm going to show you how this works real quick. We're going to be able to play that low sample whenever we have the verses and things like that are playing. And then we can bring in that high sample when we want the hook to come in and give the track a bit more brightness and a bit more fullness. Okay, a real important tip whenever you're picking your samples is to make sure that the samples you're picking, and not only have the type of sound that you want, but they have the same type of tone. The sound is just what you hear. The tone is how you hear it. So we want to make sure that how we're hearing these samples are all chill vibes. So I got this piano sample right here, and I'm going to show you the tone of that one. Check this out. You can instantly hear that chill vibe that this particular piano brings. I could have chose any other type of piano and it more than likely would have sounded very, very good, but we want this one because it has that particular tone that adds to that chill vibe. Let's go on and chop this one up, see if we can put that in there.
A few moments later.
Let's see if we can lay this pattern down real quick, and then we'll see if we can get this sample to blend the vibe that we have going on here. Let's do it. I'm going to bring in a compressor to make sure that we can kind of tame those peaks a little bit, but still get that nice warm vibe that we want. Let's do it. That compressor is going to knock down those peaks and make sure that that sample is nice and in the pocket whenever the other sample is playing. That way we don't have a conflict of what's going on. The next thing I want to do is bring a little bit of texture to the sample. More texture creates that ambiance that's behind the sample that now makes the sample start to feel like it's doing something instead of you just paying attention to the sound. Let's go ahead and check out this pad sample that I have and see if we did that with this one. Now, I don't really much like the sound of it, but it has that tone in there, that texture that we want. So after we lay down our chops, then we're going to go ahead on and EQ it and make sure we get that tone that we want. Let's chop it up real quick. I got some nice chops from the sample, and if you notice, I tried to chop it on different tones of the sample. So listen to these chops. different tones of the sample. So now we have different textures that we can bring to the sample. So let's go on and see if we can lay this down. We're going to give it some rhythm with the Akai tremolo sync. Now what that tremolo sync is going to do is, instead of it swimming around where it wants to, it's now going to put it in a rhythm that now matches our BPM. So let's do that. Now at the bottom, we're gonna go ahead on and drop our EQ and see if we can shape this to fit in a little bit. Now remember, we want this kind of swimming around in the background, so we don't want this to pop out too much. Let's do it. The object of this particular sound is so you can feel something in the beat rather than hear it. You may not like the sound of a sample. You may not even like the sound of an instrument in a preset in a VST. But if your ears are very, very sharp, you can hone in on the tone that that particular instrument has. Now you can go inside of that instrument, you can go inside of that sample, and you can now carve out the things that you want and take out the things that you don't. Now you're adding more tone and texture to your melodies instead of just adding sound to it. This is more like a vocal kind of sample, but it still has that same type of texture. Check it out. Okay, we have 5 different tracks that's running. So with these tracks, what we're going to do is jump inside of the mixer, and we're going to go ahead on and level these tracks really, really quickly. I'm going to go ahead on and take all of the levels down to each track, okay? And I'm going to bring them in one by one to make sure that we have enough of each of the different tracks that we want. Let's do it. We now have a really good sound, really good levels with all of these tracks. If you notice, they all blend well together. They all have that nice chill melodic vibe. This is what happens when you focus more on tones in your samples than you do on the sound of the samples. I'm gonna have a challenge for you guys right now on the YouTube channel for any producer out there that's checking out this video. I'm gonna make sure that I put these samples together in a nice sample pack for you guys. I want you guys to finish up this beat for me. I'm gonna go ahead on and leave the link in the video description in the Discord in a special room. Any producer out there, any beat maker out there will be able to join the Discord. You're going to be able to download this small sample pack with these particular samples in it, and I want you guys to finish that beat to the best of your ability. I'll be giving away a cash prize for this particular challenge. I know I love to make music, and I know you guys out there love to make music as well. So go on and hit that Discord link in the video description, grab these samples, and make sure you guys have a whole lot of fun in cooking up these beats. There will be rules to this, so make sure you guys read those rules very, very carefully. That way your beats can be submitted and you can enter the challenge. Just remember, tones are just as important as sound. If your ear can solo in on the tones that samples are giving you, then I guarantee you'll be able to do this exact same thing. Again, make sure you guys take advantage of that contest that we have. I cannot wait to hear some of the beats that you guys submit. Make sure you guys hit that Discord link in the video description. Join us in there, enter this challenge right here, and have some fun with us in the Discord. Do me a favor and make sure you guys drop me a comment below if you guys got the understanding of what was done here, and also drop me a comment and let me know if you will be entering that challenge. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you guys found anything helpful here. I really appreciate that. Make sure you enjoy yourself while you're making beats, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.